So, on this channel, I talk a lot about physical media and how you can actually own your content still in 2024. But what if you don't want a large collection of records or CDs cluttering your home? Today, I'm talking about four services which I've been using a lot lately so I can actually collect music digitally, not clutter up my home, and actually own the files. Let's get into it. If you don't know me, I'm Spencer, and I like to talk a lot about frugality, simple living, and strategies to use technology while making sure that it's not using you. First, let me talk just quickly about buying music online, digital files of music. So, it's a little bit better of a situation than it is with things like movies. Movies have some sort of copy protection on them where when you buy them online, you're not truly an owner of it. Music is usually a little bit more loose than that. Certain sources where you purchase them from, you're not going to be able to own the files. But with these four sources, you're going to be able to purchase the music, get it in a file format that is going to be lossless and very high fidelity, and you're going to own it for good. It's yours. So let's get into it with number one. HD tracks. So this was actually recommended to me by a viewer a few videos back. HD Tracks is a high resolution digital music store. They have DRM-free tracks, the cover art comes with it, and it is audio master recording quality. It is extremely high quality format that you're going to be getting from this site. I'll mention right now that none of these services has every artist on it. If you want to kind of get a breadth of music, a collection that you maybe would have had on a streaming service, you're going to have to take a little bit from each of these sources, and then you should be able to build out a really robust catalog. So with HD Tracks, I noticed that they had a lot of older music. It was definitely aimed toward an audiophile, and the prices reflect that. Everything is $15 to $30, I would say. However, there was a few pretty good deals on there that I found. I got a copy of Ramblin' Jack Elliott's album with Don't Think Twice, It's Alright. It's a cover of a Bob Dylan song. And that album was only $4 US on there. So I was very happy with that because Don't Think Twice, his cover of that is probably my favorite song of all time as of right now. And I really, really wanted that in my collection. So I was very happy that I was able to get the entire album for only $4. So deals can be had on there. There's also some pretty good compilations of kind of like eras of blues, like maybe the first 50 years of blues music. And maybe it has 100 tracks of various artists from like Blind Willie McTell. It'll be a compilation of a bunch of different artist material, and there's some really good stuff on there. And an album like that with around 100 songs, I think that was only $11. So definitely large compilations like that is a good way to pack value in, but still getting good music and really still being able to be quite intentional with what you're consuming. I want to say that this website is a bit like the Criterion collection of music. It's like the best of the best, but it's usually a lot older stuff. However, I only started using this stuff in the last month or so, so I am really still getting into all that HD Tracks has to offer. So number two on the list of services that I recommend to actually buy and own your music is Qobuz. So Qobuz is another lossless, high quality music purchasing service that is actually from France, I believe, and it's been around since about 2007. Now, Qobuz actually has a high quality streaming service that you can sign up for as well. It would be kind of similar to Tidal or something like that, where you're getting high fidelity, you have access to a huge catalog of music. So Qobuz has a lot of music that you can purchase. Some of the stuff you're actually only able to get through the streaming service, but quite a lot of music is available. I was able to find a lot of the classic rock stuff that I listened to. I was able to find some, again, really old blues and folk stuff. I got a Woody Guthrie collection. I got a compilation of Scrapper Blackwell. I also found that they had Kiss, they had the Eagles, they had like tons of classic like rock albums like that. They'll have Nirvana, they'll have the big heavy hitters for sure. You'll find it on Qobuz. For certain compilations and stuff, I was able to actually find it for a little bit more than HD Tracks would have had for similar artists, but they didn't have certain albums, so I ended up buying it through Qobuz. I found that when I picked a different country, like if I was set to Canada, it was sometimes more money than when I accidentally had it set to like Denmark. I ended up buying it with Danish kroner, and I was able to get it for quite a bit cheaper when it actually converted back to Canadian. So that's a mistaken pro tip for you. And moving on to the third source where you can actually buy music and own it, it's an unlikely source, I thought. It was Apple Music's iTunes Store. So the iTunes Store is still alive. I thought that the iTunes Store was gone when they switched over to Apple Music and they got rid of the iTunes app, but the iTunes Store still exists. So it's not what it once was, but that's really kind of a bad thing, but it's also a good thing. It doesn't have nearly the same catalog as it previously did. Before, you could get pretty much anything on there. Now it's like the newest pop music and then just like the biggest albums ever. Like Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Like you can get those older albums that are just huge like anthem kind of albums. You can still buy those on there as well. And I was surprised to find that Apple with their iTunes store offered their music in Apple lossless and DRM free. But in fact, they do, and they're a great source if you're looking for just that newest thing. Qobuz maybe would have something like the Taylor Swift album. HD Tracks, I don't think does. And then guaranteed though, Apple comes in here clutch. The iTunes store is where you're going to get the newest pop album. Okay, so with the first three, I've covered a good source for some historical kind of audiophile type music, the general kind of rock music, and just like any kind of just classic music, as well as good compilations with Qobuz. And then the third item is the more like kind of huge albums as well as the newish pop albums, and that's coming from iTunes Store. The fourth source for getting your music with no copy protection, owning the files free and clear is Bandcamp. And Bandcamp is where you're going to find the indie music. Bandcamp is where you're going to find and support your artist directly. I think they're probably going to get the biggest cut through Bandcamp. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty much certain that the artist is going to get the biggest cut if you purchase through Bandcamp. Bandcamp is where you're going to find the not larger than life artists. You're going to find the cool indie artists that you're going to impress your friends when you know about them. You can support them most directly by buying their tracks through Bandcamp. And even if you have a streaming service like Spotify, if you really like an independent artist and you want to support them, just buy their album through Bandcamp because that's going to give them so much more, like hundreds of times more money than they would ever get from you listening to it on Spotify. So I picked up a couple of tracks by Nick Shoulders, one of my favorite modern country artists. And then I also picked up a really good track by another great country artist named Willie Carlisle. And the track is called Van Life.
Call it van life. I've been told this. It's a fine life. I've been sold this.
So there you go, guys. 4 great services where you're going to be able to own your music. You're going to be able to buy it digitally, not clutter your home. You're going to be able to support the artist, and you're going to be able to, as I said, own it, copy it, do what you like with it. You can burn it on a CD if you want. If you're like me and you got rid of your Spotify subscription, or you're considering doing so, or even better, you've never had a Spotify service, you might want to look into a service like one of the ones I've mentioned, or all of them. I think that each of them has their strengths. Obviously, each of them has their weakness. No one of these services is going to outright replace Spotify, but I think if you use each of the ones that I mentioned for different genres of music, different people that you're not going to find on one or the other, then you actually can pretty much fill in all of the gaps that Spotify would have filled for you, and you'll actually own the music. So that's huge for me. I'm very stoked about this. I actually want to thank the commenter who mentioned HD tracks in one of his comments in the first place. He's commented on a few of my videos. I'll put them up here. Thank you very much, man, because you got me looking into HD tracks in the first place. And at a time when I knew I wanted to delete Spotify, but I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to rip all my vinyl. Like, that's the way that I'm going to have to get these tracks. It made my life so much easier to know that I could just purchase the tracks digitally in the highest quality through these services. So thank you so much for letting me know. And now I'm passing that information on to you guys. And I hope you guys got something out of this video. Let me know in the comment section if there's any other services that I've missed today that you've been using, which you find essential to own music here in 2024 while not actually purchasing the physical media yourself. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.